Yet even more problems with Diablo 4. I know the game overall is quite good, but apparently fans are not very impressed with the updates and reworks of the barbarian and stuff. So I mean, even with all of the praises that the end game and the overall game has, aside from the story being kind of a letdown, there is still massive problems with the game. But that's with the developers and so on. I wonder. Apparently, there's also been some like teasers and stuff of like the sixth class that's coming. I haven't really looked at it that much, but I really do hope it's going to be like a paladin, maybe. But there's been a paladin in almost every game, so maybe something unique, something new that wasn't in like Diablo 2 or Diablo 3, you know? Like a vampire class. That sounds very fucking fun.
Wow, so yes, the recent patch that nerfed some of the best builds in Diablo 4 has seen quite the backlash. As you can clearly see...
Blizz, you're seriously out of touch. Summoner Necro sucks. Patch nerfs are a disaster.
Right here, look at what's going on the Blizzard forums. Now, players are even demanding Blizzard to revert the patch back, and some are even threatening to refund the game entirely. However, is all
and the game just came out.
Check this out right here. Are the silent majority loving the game? That's the big question. Also, yes, there appears to be some workarounds to the nerfs that did happen. So if you want to make your Whirlwind Barbarian more powerful despite the nerfs, for example, well, you're going to want to pay attention.
The Whirlwind like thing, like build, has always been the Barbarian's like backbone. Like Diablo 2, I believe. I think there was like the skill was in there. But Diablo 3, it was the most broken build ever because of how fast you could move and how much damage you did. You killed almost everything in like a split second as you were moving. And then there was elites that you had to like stay for just a couple of seconds longer. And then you just shredded them and then you just went on with your like daily life. But I mean, the build was always fucking strong. It was never, there was never a time where it wasn't strong.
In this video. Also, some important tips for socketed gems. This will save you countless gold. Do not miss this. And we have the Path of Exile community chiming in. They have some interesting things to say about the recent nerfs and situation with Diablo 4. But also, check this out right here. And by the way, since Diablo 4 is technically an online game, I wanted to tell you about this very useful tool to prevent lag in Diablo 4. And that tool is called Exit Lag. Now, Exit Lag will help prevent and address any lag issues you may have, and not only will it do this for Diablo 4, but hundreds of other games as well. But
I should actually check it out.
You ask? Well, you simply select the game you want to prevent lag in, click on the red Apply Routes button.
I wonder if it's free.
Automatically
if it is free, there's probably a paid version of it.
Your computer and the game server, which will reduce network latency and prevent lag. There's even an FPS boost setting as well to help improve gameplay performance. So that combined with the anti-lag features will make for the ultimate...
Wasn't there another thing called What the Fast? It also like try to like fix like lag and so on and so on.
Smooth online experience. And yes, there are even more advanced settings for those if you want to get into the technical bits of it and really customize the settings to your liking, such as the ability to prioritize game traffic, which will prevent other applications on your PC from interfering with your online game connection. So check out Exit Lag and get up to a 44% discount on the Exit Lag annual subscription. Click on my link in the description below. And a huge thanks to Exit Lag for supporting my channel and for improving my online game experience.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, wow, that recent patch did a number on our favorite builds within the game. We have some responses from the community, and we do have some replies from the dev team as well. But we're going to start out right here on the Blizzard forums. Check it out. It says, patch nerfs are a disaster. It goes on to say this, what blows my mind about the changes that they've been doing so aggressively, this is a casual game. You cater to casual players on all of your games within their genre. ARPGs are also not competitive games.
Yeah,
builds will never be balanced.
Except when you try and make them, which is what has been happening with the race thing that's that's been going on. I don't think that I think they've delayed it, or they're still busy trying to do something with it. I mean, it happens on like the 8th, right? So there's still like a solid 3 days. Maybe if it's the 6th, it's like tomorrow. So yeah, I hope it either gets delayed to give everybody like a fair chance, or um, they just make two races, one for like the content creators that was able to play it, and then some for like the other players. But even then, you have the like early access, like people that bought like the ultimate or the like deluxe edition for it, and then they get to hop on early. So I think a delay is the better option. But overall, I just think it's dumb trying to make this like a competitive thing.
Why on earth do you nerf the pieces of the builds that makes the Barb class bearable to even play? Unlimited shout duration wouldn't be necessary if the actual gameplay
It takes
wasn't
like
the most
12 lugging strikes to get max fury. And whirlwind only lasts and for whirlwind for about 0.75 seconds before I'm out of. Oh damn, that sucks.
awful, miserable concept
That is
of
dumb.
resource generator spender I've ever seen. Yikes! Shots fired. Let me know if you agree with that one or not. Or
He
if
timed
you
it
are
as well
actually
to get the 0.75 seconds.
enjoying the game silently. Let's find out what you guys have to say. Now, it says this right here. It takes like 12 lunging strikes to get max fury and whirlwind for about 0.75 seconds before I'm out of resource. This is mind-boggling how awful it is. Do you want people to actually have fun playing your non-competitive game, or just make everything feel like trash and help people quit, or go back to Path of Exile? Talk about Path of Exile more here in just a moment as well. Now, it says, it's clear with the awful skill trees forcing you to always have a generator spec that you don't want people playing builds that...
I don't see a problem with the skill tree. I mean, the main part of like an RPG game in general is being able to like customize the character as you want. So I find the skill tree very, very enticing and interesting. I mean, that's why Path of Exile, I haven't personally played it just yet, but if I do, the skill tree is going to be one of the best places I will be spending my time. Because I just love being able to customize my character the way I want, and so on and so on. I just find it so much so enjoyable. Like, I mean, if you in a fantasy, like if you read like fantasy light novels, or like fantasy like books, or fantasy like manga or webtoon, I mean, what thing drives you the most in reading it? Is it the story? Is it the progression of the character? For me, I just want to see how fucking strong the MC gets. That's my driving focus when I read like power fantasy like manga, webtoon. I mean, Solo Leveling is a perfect example. Sure, story, very great. Ending, kinda rushed, but still overall, one of the best things that has come out to read in the later parts of the year, like in like the later like years. But finding out how strong he fucking is, fucking amazing. The skills that he gets, even better. I love it. Him leveling up his like stats and so on, even fucking better. I love it. That's why I love Merriwin. What's it? What the fuck's it called? Give me 1 second. Yeah. MURIM. Merriwin login. Fuck. I don't know how you pronounce that. But it is a in the world, he's like a hunter. Because monsters like appeared, gates are opening. If you've read like Solo Leveling, you get it. You get the gist. But he's able to go like fall asleep in like this pod thing at first, and then he wakes up in like this different body in like this fantasy world, and every stats and stuff that he like gets in that different world applies to him in his real life, and so the same goes for his real life applies to his fantasy world life as well. So you can just see how fucking strong he can get. So I just find it so enjoyable. The skills that you learn, and just the customization of like an RPG game is what drives it. That's why WoW was such a good game when it came out. Granted, the story was part of it, but it's the driving force of this. So my whole point is the skill tree, perfectly fine.
Don't spam generators for 90%.
And if you're a casual player, just look it up. Then you're perfect. Then you're gonna find everything that you want.
The game and do 0 damage. Yeah, it seems like they want those, generators to matter, and they don't want you to be without it. They're kind of like, it feels like to me, wanting you to be forced into that. See if anyone discovers some sort of workarounds. By the way, we will get into the barbarian workarounds in just a moment. Some cool stuff. Now, the barb nerfs are actually mind-boggling. They could have just nerfed the Gore's gloves and moved on, which they completely disabled instead. So we do have a reply from Blizzard about that. Adam Fletcher of Blizzard goes on to say this right here out on Twitter. The team has re-enabled Gore's devastating grip's unique power. This is now in the patch notes. So that has actually been re-enabled if you did not know. Yeah. Also, a lot of people demanding this one right here. This is insane. Revert the nerf. This is from Pyro Horror. Say this, they really did us dirty with the last balance update. Barb's only good build is dead on arrival, and yeah, I am mad about it. I just finished the story on Barb.
Oh my god, he's just a tank. He's supposed to just soak up all of the damage while all of the other characters get to do the damage and have fun.
Now, all 3 viable builds taste like dog water. What was so bad about having a barbarian that got to DPS instead of just buffing the group? Feels like I wasted my whole early access just learning a build that was destined for nerf.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Creators all that time to play and make guides just to render them useless 3 days later. Silly, typical Blizzard. Same reason I quit World of Warcraft. Felt like we were being trolled. Man, they nerfed the hell out of some key builds, let me tell you what, especially that barbarian whirlwind. So yeah, a lot of people talking about what's going on with, of course, the druid as well. A lot of people are also feeling like, hey, Blizzard, are you this out of touch? And we have this post here. You can't be serious with all the nerfs, especially the treasure goblins. We already never see them, which I've seen some conflicting arguments about that one. Once you get more into the in-game, apparently you do also see more of the treasure goblins as well. Now, it says, the hell is wrong with you and the glyphs? Why? You sold people on the Paragon board explaining how this would change the game for your class, and now you've just gone and made it all an additional minor stat gain system. I can only shake my head in complete disbelief. So you've just obsoleted about 80% of the druid and barbarian setup for what exactly? Druids and barbarians are already extremely gear dependent by your design. Was your aim to make them unplayable? Do any of you even play test this stuff? Please go use a druid or barbarian with the skills aspects you're nerfing and tell us how you fare without your GM cheats. I guarantee you, you'll rage quit. You have absolutely no idea what it is you are doing. This is casual game type. That is all about
that is kind of bad.
Fantasy.
If your character is already gear dependent on like most of its builds, and then you nerf them even more, that is very fucking bad. That is sad, actually.
If this move is to make sure that only your team lead's favorite classes can stand tall on the leaderboards, your priorities are in entirely the wrong order. I think that's a shot at the Necromancer. 0 sense in these nerfs. I cannot fathom what could possibly go through your head to do this to classes that already struggle. Jesus freaking Christ. So you can see people are really pissed off and frustrated big time. But yeah, let's get into some workarounds. At the very least, let's take a look at the barbarian. Someone had some very interesting things.
But at least the good thing is they can fix it. Hopefully.
On Reddit, so let's head on over there.
Hopefully it doesn't take months.
A 1-point skill tree investment changed my entire barbarian build, and this would also still apply now. It goes on to say, a 1-point skill tree investment changed my entire barbarian build. I'm sure the theory crafters out there already went down this road, but I'm going in blind for my first run. I was getting all this gear with 15% damage to crowd-controlled enemies, or 12% damage to slowed enemies, etc. Stuff like that. So much gear has these effects on it. I had nothing in my build that would cause these CC effects reliably. Frenzy, whirlwind,
unlucky.
Some shouts. I noticed hamstring in my skill tree 1 point that all it took, bleeding enemies are slowed, but I don't run a bleed build. That's okay, I don't either. So, get this, it says two-handed sword expertise turns a portion of direct damage into bleed damage, so use that as your technique. So frenzy, whirlwind, etc. all apply bleeds now, and all bleeds apply slow. The bleed tick is only like 1 or 2 damage. I don't use any build skills at all, but the multipliers on gear for CC'd and slowed enemies really add up. And if you drop 1 point into pressure point when you whirl, you'll slap bleed, slow, and vulnerable all over the place. Great for stacking debuffs. Anyway, that was my discovery today. Maybe it helps someone out. And yeah, I'm handing that off to you all. So hopefully you can try it out and see if that kind of alleviates some of the nerfing that has been done.
Yeah, that sounds like it's a great workaround.
I know a lot of people were really bummed that the Whirlwind Barbarian build is kind of basically, I wouldn't say completely worthless. You can still use it, but definitely not as OP as beforehand. Now, we have this one right
Like,
here.
I understand you want to balance the game to make every character viable, but that doesn't mean that you have to completely fucking ruin it. Just lower the damage numbers by a tad bit.
As well. It goes on to say this, I don't think Blizzard understands what makes an RPG fun. So getting to level 29, you never get ahead of the curve. No matter what mobs you are fighting, you are always on the middle of the curve. That translates to fighting mobs you fought at level 6 to take the same amount of time at level 29. Do you truly think taking 5 minutes to fight trash mobs because of the damage scaling and mob scaling is fun? I'm hearing this a lot, by the way. This is a cheap and uninventive way of trying to make zone relevant, and it's boring as hell. The entire point of an ARPG is to get to God mode and mow through hordes of mobs. This is why you seek out better gear, higher stats, etc. If the curve is flat, there's almost no point to it other than to keep up with the mob scaling. And we have a reply here. It says 5 minutes, that's a build problem. I kill trash packs in about 30 seconds. I only have 1 legendary even. I almost die if I try to face roll. I actually have to pay attention. Yes, I call that fun. Edit, I'm at level 31 Poison Barrage Rogue. I'm massively off meta, so no, I'm not playing the OP Death Trap spec. So,
okay.
My opinion is it is very possible to keep up with what's going on with the scaling. You just really have to kind of pay attention to every single part of your build, no matter what. So yes,
okay.
You are.
That does not, for casual players, that's kind of a big task to manage everything like that. It is kind of rough for like some casual players. I can understand the problems with that, but overall, I think that's actually somewhat good. Like, I won't say it's the best, but it's okay.
Having those problems. So yeah, I feel like this game, because everything scales with you, really have to keep up with the gear. You cannot have like old gear on your class and expect to just keep going at your current power fantasy, I guess you would say. So you really have to constantly update your gear no matter what.
Yeah, I didn't see. Yeah, that's actually quite good, because I mean, like in Diablo 3, I was running around with like level 40 gear fighting level 70 enemies, and I was doing quite well. Like, I wasn't killing them that fast, but I mean, it wasn't that bad either. So having to like upgrade your gear like every 5, give or take every 10 levels, I'd suggest like every 5 levels isn't such a bad thing. If you were like saving for this or that, it kind of sucks. But I mean, overall, until you hit the max level, farming for gear and stuff isn't that much of a priority. So just make sure your gear is up to date, and then when you get to like the max level, start farming for gear. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
One of the biggest things about this ARPG when it comes to scaling, and that goes for everything else, by the way. Updating your gear to be specialized and not jack of all trades, that's another critical path that I think a lot of people are missing out on. Now, we got to talk about some comparisons to Path of Exile. So the Path of Exile community chimes in here, of course. So check it out right here. It goes on to say this: Path of Exile 2 can't get here soon enough. This comes from Deep Sea, who goes on to say, you create a Paragon system that goes through a full closed beta. It looks interesting. then you completely nerf it to the ground when people just start
They
using
nerfed
it.
the Paragon?
What are you doing? Did
Really?
you analyze any of the data out of the betas? Because your balance patch makes it look like you've been completely blindsided by things that you should have seen coming months ago. Yeah, this was my biggest fear. This is what I talked about in previous videos. I actually got some backlash about talking about nerfs versus buffs. I always said that they should consider buffing stuff, but there were comments like, yo, then you get into the power creep fear, you know, of that.
Granted, there is power creeping then, but I mean, if you made all of it, like if one like character was like pulling ahead of the other ones, just buff the other characters to somewhere around that level, and then you have a much more balanced game than you trying to nerf everything and make everybody and like ruin other characters. It's a much easier way of doing it instead of trying to like figure out why this skill is so strong and let's see what is like the best way to like nerf it to make everybody happy. If you buff up other characters, then that makes everybody fucking happy. It keeps the players that were playing that character, that overpowered character, still playing that character and them not complaining. And then you have the other characters that have gotten stronger and makes everybody else happier. So what if it's power creeping? Power creeping exists in everything. So just fucking roll with it. You can't get rid of it. May as well just join it.
That happening, so that's a whole issue. But nerfs taking away people's builds, that's, in my opinion, so much worse in some instances. Now, of course, we're early on in the life of this game, like very, very early on. We'll see what happens if Blizzard actually does refer some of what they've done with this patch. I'm kind of curious, but yeah, that was my biggest fear, and I feel like it has absolutely come to pass. This has actually happened.
I don't see why people have a problem with power creeping. If it makes the game better and balances things out, it is a perfect. I fully welcome it because it's a lot easier to buff stuff than it is to nerf stuff, and you won't have as many angry fucking players. Aside from the people that go, oh, power creeping sucks. We want power creeping banned from all video games. But they are the people that make the game bad. Because they go on and like, you shouldn't power creep anything. You must nerf this character to this degree so that we can actually enjoy the other fucking characters. So fucking dumb.
Have taken
really
away
is.
People's favorite builds currently. We'll see if there's any further workarounds that people can come up with, but I feel like a lot of the community right now is a little bit winded, a little bit bummed by this one. Now, also, this is a very good point right here. Check it out. It says, if devs are balancing builds, they need to decrease crafting costs. It says, if they're going to do these big adjustments to the balance of the game, like they have been, they need to lower upgrade and reroll costs, both in gold and materials used, so we can retool and try out stuff without hours of farming. I'd like to try out some of the newly buffed lightning skills on Druid, but I'm looking at the fact that I have the full setup for Pulverize, including Perma Bear Unique. I really don't want to try a new build because to see if it's comparable, I have to find, reroll, and upgrade all of the gear and respec the whole tree. I don't mind class balance as long as retooling gear is respectable to my time invested. Yeah, so
that's actually quite good.
These big adjustments and forcing players to adjust accordingly, they're going to have to do something with, of course, the cost of crafting, respecting, that sort of thing. Now,
Yeah.
What about this one right here? It says this. In-game loot, what's the point of farming gear? I don't quite understand the in-game loot right now. Or loot right now. My character is level 54. My build is finished. I have all uniques plus aspects needed. And now I can start upgrading my items and keep leveling up my character. But I always wonder what the point of this would be. I'm already doing the content, Hell Tides, Nightmare Dungeons, Tree. When I level up and upgrade my gear, the world around me simultaneously just levels up with me. The relative power of my character compared to the content always roughly stays the same. So what's the point? I honestly try to find a reason to keep min-maxing my character and keep playing.
Okay, that's kind of a problem.
So my question for you all, are you really bothered by what they're doing with scaling? On the flip side, what...
Kinda, because I don't want to spend 8 seconds, 12 seconds killing a mob, and then 8 minutes trying to kill a boss monster. I know when it comes to bosses, there's other players, so you're not going in it alone. And if you have friends, you can make the non like dungeon parts like easier. If you have friends to play with and like play this like game with. But if you're playing solo and everything scales up with you, and you got like this new gear that is supposed to like shorten the time from like, for instance, 12 seconds to about 9 seconds, and just make the game a tad bit faster, and it doesn't, I feel like that is fucking dumb. Because I want to be able to feel strong. That's the whole point of progression. You want to feel strong. So having everything scale up with you, I do see it enjoyable, because that means that no place is like forgotten, and like it just makes you spend just a tad bit longer playing the game. I can understand why, and it does. I do like appreciate it, but at the same time, don't scale them up that much. Make them a tad bit stronger than what they were, but not to my current power level, because again, it's a mob. I do not want to spend most of my time killing mobs when I only have like 2 hours of playing. I do not want to spend like an hour of that time farming mobs. It is dumb.
What I understand is people love the scaling when it comes to co-op. I've seen another thread out here that was highly upvoted, over 3,000 upvotes, actually complimenting Blizzard on how they have scaling working when you actually go into co-op. So I feel like scaling has been designed particularly for cooperative play, for more casual play. But yeah, the answer is this, of course. You farm gear to make it easier to farm more gear. That's what it seems to be the answer. It's always about that treadmill of constantly trying to get better.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. You farm gear to make farming gear easier, sure. But again, farming mobs is not. I don't want to spend so much time farming mobs. And if an elite or something summons in monsters, and those like mobs are almost as strong as I am, while the boss is stronger than I am, it doesn't bode well for me. I will go through my potions and everything so fucking fast. It's dumb. It's very dumb.
If you're falling behind on that one, yeah, it's going to be tough to keep up. It's also tough to find that gear, at that new level that's also into the mold of what you're...
I'm not saying like get rid of the scaling completely. I'm just saying lowering the scaling by a few numbers, not a lot, just enough to make that new gear at the new level make you feel quite strong, because every level that you go up, the increase that you get isn't that big. It's not, unless you have like the new gear is like 3, maybe 4 levels above the gear that you already have. Then the level, the gap in power feels big. But if you go from level to level and you get like new gear randomly or on purpose, then I mean, it doesn't make that much of a difference. It's only a small increase in numbers. So if you just lower the scaling numbers by a tad bit, just a teeny itty bitty bit, then it would make the like effort of getting new gear so much better. It really would.
Doing, unless you are of course crafting and going into that direction, which is what a lot of Diablo community is doing. All right, so here's a tip real quick for you all as well to save you tons and tons of gold in the future. So check it out. There's tips for removing socketed gems. It says if you have a gem socketed in a piece of gear that you don't need anymore, just salvage the gear. The gems will automatically be removed from the gear and added to your inventory. This will save you gold from having to pay the jeweler to remove the...
Yeah, the same thing happened in Diablo 3. But the problem is, if the gear is the thing that you want, and you just want to put it in like a higher level gem, then you can't really do anything about that. Then you will have to cough up the money, and you will still be wasting gold. Because, again, if you just want to upgrade the gear that you put, the gem that you put in it, then the problem is still there.
The socketed gear. To clarify, when you go to the blacksmith to salvage, click the blacksmith icon that's titled directly in inventory. This will allow you to manually select the socketed gear to salvage it. salvaging by all junk button will not work because the game ignores socket gear or auto salvage. What a great tip. Watch that be nerfed or changed in the future. Dear God, we will see what happens. So yeah, let's get into your top comments. First of all, I'm going to start out with my YouTube members. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member and joining and supporting what I do. I greatly appreciate it. And we're going to get into the top comments from my previous video as well. But check it out. We have this one. Patches are good. Just don't like how I got booted from the game mid-boss fight for it. And he puts the crying emoticon right there from Grativis. And we got some replies about that. It says, I got booted right when a boss was at 5% said my account was locked. That's exactly what happened to me on day one. I was so bummed. And Grativis says, about the same here, and I was struggling in the boss a few attempts prior. LOL.
Unlucky,
no, I was
man.
so bummed. I was actually sitting with my girlfriend, and she was like, oh, no, what happened? But the good news is at least their checkpoint system is so good. It brought me back to the very beginning of the boss battle. So I was like, let's just try this again. It was
it didn't keep your progress for like the 5% progress that you had, but at least you get to do the boss over again without having to go through the entire dungeon again. I guess that's fine.
No big deal to me. But you know, if I had to redo that entire dungeon section, I would have been pissed. All right, so next up we have.
At least you didn't have to do the whole dungeon. But you getting the boss to like 5% HP, yeah, that's just your problem. You have to deal with that. Good luck.
He says, I'm really happy with the way this launch worked out. With all the bad press that Blizzard has been getting lately, this was a breath of fresh air. After Diablo Immortal, my expectations were extraordinarily low. Not only did they exceed my expectations, but they did far better than any live service PC game I've played in the past few years. Kudos. So I'm curious to see what your updated opinion is now after the recent patch. I'm not too sure if that's changed or not. Also, we have this one, a PS5 player who says this, I loaded in and put an hour in on PS5, had no problems, just not enough to pull me away from Zelda. I'm getting back to Hyrule. That's from Biwi. So yes, I know a lot of you have been conflicted about playing Diablo 4 over here, or do you go to your Switch and continue your adventure in the new Zelda? Yeah, that's...
No, Nintendo ported the games over to like PC. It would they'd earn so much more money, but I can understand why, because then people would be able to like mod the game a lot easier. So that would take away from their like whole like game and stuff. I mean, people tried modding the game as on the Nintendo, and they've been shutting them down constantly. It really sucks.
It's always tough.
And I mean, people would fucking play it if it came to PC, because PC's better. It is, if you compare it to the Switch. It really, really is.
So yes, let's get into my most recent video.
Because then you also have computers, laptops, and MacBooks. So it would just be better. No, not MacBooks. Yeah, MacBooks is like the Apple version of laptops, right? Fuck, I'm so out of touch with Apple. I haven't had one Apple product in my entire life. I just don't like Apple. So expensive for no reason.
Right here, scroll on down. Best in-game classes nerfed, of course, including the Whirlwind Barbarian, and yeah, actually the Necromancer got some buffs. But let's see what you guys have to say about this. Matlock says 2 things I want to see for Necromancer. Skeleton Priest Hill be a hill over time instead of a hill after time. A way to tell my minions to kill the treasure goblins. That would be cool. Now that would be awesome. And not the 50 other mobs who just ran through.
Yeah,
full pet builds are my
being
favorite.
able to command your mobs to do something like in Diablo 2, very good. I think that would be well appreciated.
In any game I play, and sadly it's the only necro build I like. Not a fan of blood or bone style. Yeah, they need more support for your skellies, for your army, you know. I want them to be more viable. Now, interestingly,
how many skeletons can you get in Diablo 4?
The actual beta, I was able to really knock down the Butcher's health with my skellies because of my skellies, and I saw so much potential in that sort of build. It's just not really viable in the in-game. It would be cool if it was. Hopefully Blizzard does listen on that front. Now, we have Seawing Man, who says this, a nice move in buffing minion survivability on single attack damage and AoE damage, and the increase of minion damage. Yes. So yeah, nice buff for of necromancers. Tom
Yeah.
says necro need a buff to gain damage, not flat damage. Make the skills increase when specialized, like gear adds +2x skill. Great point right there.
Yeah, that is.
Alan Herrera says, I tried the Storm Druid yesterday and found it fun, but a little weak at the time. Love the small buff to lightning. I'm all for it. So, yeah, it seems
Yeah,
like
everybody likes buffs, but nobody likes nerfs. That's why when I said, stop trying to nerf stuff and start like increasing the... If you bring all of the characters up to the strongest characters level, that would be a hell of a lot better than you nerfing everything and making everything weak.
Some things, I think it's the... I really feel like...
Because when you try and nerf stuff, that's when the imbalance comes. When you buff everything to around the strongest character, then that is a lot better.
Barbarian mains
Is
are
it power creeping?
primarily
Yes.
upset right now.
Would anybody care later on in the game? No.
Also,
Nobody would.
because of the nerfs to the shouts. It's not just the whirlwind build, of course, but people are really, really frustrated by what they did with the shouts as well. Idyllic Mullet says this, I'm loving my rogue, puncture, flurry, shadow step, poison build. The synergy with all these legendary aspects is...
Rogue, puncture, flurry, shadow step, poison. What a name.
Great. Focusing on crit, vulnerable damage, having a really effective evade shadow step combo with stun to stack momentum. It's nuts, but I'm pretty squishy, so I have to be careful. Loving it, though. All right. Nicely done, dude. Sounds like he knows exactly what he's doing with the rogue. I need to play more rogue, I have to admit. But I'm just like so obsessed with the barbarian builds right now. I'm loving my bleed build so far, and I want to keep going with it. I'm curious to see how far I can actually push it. But yeah, there it is. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more Diablo 4 news and updates. I have you guys covered as always, and I will see you all next time. Take care.
I would play this, what's it? Whoops, that's a bit far. Was it around here? Backwards? I would play this rogue, puncture, flurry, shadow step, poison build. That sounds extremely fucking fun. That does. That sounds idiotically fun. Like, oh my god, that sounds absolutely like a fun fucking time. But what is your guys' thoughts on them nerfing instead of buffing characters to like now power creeping them? Would you guys prefer the power creeping or them nerfing every favorite character to the ground? Let me know in the comments and hope you